get asked the most.
Right.
So it will start Monday. If it goes okay for the first couple of days, we'll put signs out there that those two booths accept credit cards.
Great.
Okay? So that's where we are.
Excellent, Terry. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, you gonna run?
I have to get down to the
Concert.
Oh, who's playing tonight?
Melissa Etheridge, right?
Standards and Soul. That's a local group.
He told me that
man.
Tommy George. You know Tommy George?
Yeah, sure.
on the
Oh,
train.
great.
I don't think, maybe that's over here.
Beautiful.
Fred's
Who's
driving.
next week?
Maybe that's
It's
here.
all online?
Yeah,
All this
Capitol
online?
Theater.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Will they show me
They're
next
talking
week?
about the concert at Red Town Park. I was like, I don't think we've gotten Melissa Etheridge yet.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean,
Town Park, Goldie. Bruce Springsteen next.
Springsteen coming in to Capitol?
Yeah.
Oh, Melissa Etheridge.
Okay.
I was talking about the Capitol.
There we go.
That's
Maybe
what I said.
maybe we could do a JV with the Capitol Theater. We have the guys coming, the guys that go to the
That'd be
Capitol and
nice,
finish
right?
up, huh?
Yeah,
On the
that's
beach,
good.
Mayor Pagani, they can help us with that?
We'll work on that one.
I was away, but I was movie night Thursday.
Oh, missed it. Really good?
They were, I didn't
Did you
see
see it?
them, but I heard they
Yeah,
were great.
Is that right? I would have loved it. That was my group.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Good.
That's great.
yeah. Wow. All right, thanks so much again. Thanks very
Thank
much.
you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, you want to take us through the finances, Mr.
We
Nowotnik?
can walk you through the
Just quickly, I
finances
think
fairly quickly.
Yep.
We did get the summary page, so I'm sorry for the delay, but we sent it out to you, I think, a day or two ago. I'll try and go top down.
Yeah,
There are two shortfalls in
What's our
revenue.
actual for 2012? Is this a definitive number?
The actual for 2012 is a definitive number.
And what's the number?
Pre-audit. This number is still pre-audit.
All right,
We're
what's the number?
89,000 lost. Say 90,000
It
lost.
keeps creeping up, as I remember.
Well,
yeah.
this is pre-audit. All right. My
come
feeling
back
is
down
this
post-audit?
number is going to come down. That's my feeling.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
And then, and then this year we're...
Right now, we're showing a
short
$75,000 loss as of year to date.
versus 12 last year.
At the year to date.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
correct. Okay.
Okay.
But there are significant items that are
This
missing.
is as of June 30th.
Right. For example, we have about $16,000 of other income. That would be the pavilion rentals and things of that nature that have not been booked. I just received the details on that tonight. So you'll see that reflected. And if you added that in, for example, we'd be at 21 compared to 23 last year. So we're neck and neck. We also have some...
What's 21 and 23?
Well, if once we book the 16,000 in other income, that gets added to the 5,500 that's there now. That would be 21 year
Well,
to date.
minus 75. I get 15.
Oh, you're looking down the bottom.
Yeah, I'm bottom line kind of guy.
I'm just talking income.
Minus 60, right?
Right. What I'm trying to get to is there are a number of income
Right,
items that are not yet recorded.
Right.
So income is understated at 362.
Right.
All right, I can't give you a definitive amount, but I'm going to tell you that there's several $1,000s. Wages are running below last year on a period-for-period, meaning year-to-date comparison. So we're doing very well. The staff is doing excellently, frankly, in controlling our wages. You'll see the change there. Obviously, there's no expense for foremen, and that's doing well by us so far. We can tell you now, unemployment insurance is missing. We are waiting for the audit to be completed so that we can get a starting number before we can then balance out the number. All right. So, long story short, I would tell you the 75,000 loss is overstated, probably to the tune of about 35,000.
I understand. If you don't have unemployment insurance here, that's a negative, right?
Yes.
So how much is that getting? We got a budget of negative 33.
Well, but at June 30th, that number typically is fairly low.
Well,
All right, that's a back-ended number that comes in later on in the season.
okay.
All right, and then we're missing FEMA revenue that we're expecting to come
Good.
in and get
Any
booked.
questions for Mr. Nowotnik? I think it sounds to me we're going to have a worse year than last year.
We are year-to-date right now, if you saw the sales report, as of June 14th, which was this past Sunday, we were 54,000 behind last year.
All right, so 90 last year, so 140 this year, right now. We lost 89 90,000 last year.
Well, but we think we're controlling expenses a little bit better this year.
Look, remember,
Yep.
did you not listen to the beginning when I talked about, I started 2.5 grade average.
Yes, I
And
understand.
I worked my way up. So you
I
want to
understand.
prepare the board for the worst
Okay.
and prove so anyway. I think.
And
Do you,
in the last...
you think it's purely weather related? I mean, I know it's fairly.
Oh, it's totally,
Okay.
totally. The loss of Memorial Day weekend was an absolute disaster, and that's
Did we make anything back with July 4th this
yeah.
year?
like
July
we did better
4th, we
July
actually
4th.
made $32,000 more for the four-day weekend this year than we did last year. So we
that's
are
not-
making
not
something
yet in
up.
these numbers. That's
Excuse me?
not yet in these numbers.
That's not yet reflected in these numbers. That's correct, because that's the 4th of July
We'll
weekend.
keep our fingers crossed, but yes, it is primarily weather.
Yes.
Mayor French.
So, when can we get a breakdown of the cars and the people? So we can look at, for example, July 4th, right? It says that we had $10,000 in non-resident parking, but zero in resident parking. So, at $15 for non-resident parking, that would give you how many cars actually?
Well, if you look at your third page there, we do have the year-to-date, April 1st through June 30th, the transaction report.
Right, but by day.
Well, that's the report I sent out not long ago, I guess, a few days ago. It gives you the actual daily comparison, 2012 versus 2013 by day.
Right.
In terms of revenue.
And number of units.
No, I don't think we do units in that report.
So that's because we do have the car counter, right? So
Yes.
if I read this, July 4th, 2013, there was no revenue in resident parking, but there was 10,180 in non-resident parking.
Correct.
So at $15 per, that's the non-resident price, the park, you would divide that and get the number of cars,
Yes,
right?
I understand. Okay.
So in essence, that gives you a number.
Yeah,
of-
we can amplify this report and add the units in there, and that shouldn't be a problem. And
So the
same,
number's tracking around 600 to 700 cars, right? Which you get a
yeah,
number.
and we can do it the same way that we do the June report, where we give you units and revenue.
So why would there be no resident parking on July 4th?
Well, no, what you're missing there, I think, is as you go down the category, you have permit parking, you have holiday resident parking there, you'll see $774. Okay. You have night parking.
Right.
So what happens is they move into various categories. What we're trying to deal with is as the various rate categories have been changed, we've tried to adapt the report.
So that would pull your average price down from 15, let's say it pulls it down to $12.
Yes.
So in essence, 12,000 in parking on July 4th, we should have had about 1,000 cars in the park.
Easily.
Right. Well,
No, way more than that. And this is one of the things that...
you see what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah, of course.
So because of that, we hold to 750 full capacity, then you have turnover, so you probably had 1,250 cars.
The real issue is going to be the number of senior cars that are there,
Right.
which come in at zero cost.
Right. So maybe it's not $12 average price, maybe it's $10.
Right.
So we had 1,200 cars at an average price of $10. But the car counter would tell us how many
Yes.
cars.
Yes.
What's this rumor about prohibiting seniors from coming into the park?
No, we don't prohibit
Okay.
seniors
Well,
from coming
especially
into
on
the park.
concert night.
We encourage that, but I would
Just
ask
seeing if Goldie's paying
I
attention.
would ask the commissioners to think about the longer-term situation. An automobile that belongs to a senior takes up a parking space.
I understand.
And we get zero revenue from it.
I understand.
Okay, so it's just one of those
Yeah.
types of things. Even at $1, we would improve our accounting. We would improve our practice. People wouldn't have this perception that cars are being let in without paying.
Right.
And you would wind up, I think, having a general better overall revenue profile.
Perfect. Well, we'll look at that next year. Any other questions, Mayor French?
Can we get car counts?
Pardon me?
Can we get the car counts?
Yes,
The
yes. We'll put together something for you that'll have car counts as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Nowotnik. Okay, correspondence. Commissioner Brett, at the last meeting, you made a request for us to consider possibly asking for a change in parking status, and we took it up sort of ad hoc, if you will. And subsequent to that, I spoke with Mr. Ambrose, and he came back with an email that shared some concerns. So we could just, if you want to sort of remind people what your goal is here, what the concern is, and then we can take it up across the commission.
Sure. I mean, at the last meeting, we actually, I think, agreed as a commission, we voted and agreed that we were going to move his parking back into the parking lot. So my concern in raising it was that the cars, every time one of his employees goes in and out, they open the gate, the cars go into the park,
Over which gate?
The gate that separates the parking lot from the park. It's
Inside gate.
the inside gate. I mean, I don't know what your terminology is for it. So the inside gate. So every time he has cars that go in and out of the inside gate, that gate needs to be opened. And also, he parks his cars there whether or not the parking lot is full. So there are times when pedestrians are using the park won't necessarily expect that there are going to be cars coming through that gate, and therefore it poses a danger. And I do think that given the increasing orderliness at the park, I felt like it was an appropriate time to maybe ask that those cars be parked in the parking lot. I continue to think that makes sense. I really am concerned by the opening and closing of that side gate? Is that the name of it?
The inside gate.
Inside gate. Because I think that it does pose the potential for cars that are not cars that belong to the restaurant, but cars that belong to other people to drive through that gate thinking that they can park inside the park when we would rather use that for overflow parking exclusively. So I think that the more times that gate gets open, the more risk there is of stray cars going through, and also just the restaurant cars posing a danger to pedestrians. I've read the response that John Ambrose gave us, and I have to say it didn't lessen my concerns. It actually increased my concerns, because my perception was that those cars were going in at one time of the day and staying there and then leaving at the end of a shift or something. But his email suggested that there was much more in and out of that entrance than I had even originally anticipated, posing just that much more uncertainty for pedestrians and potential danger if people have a car come through that gate when they don't expect it. And I just would note for the rest of the commission that, all of especially the Portchester downtown, parking is a huge issue around the restaurants in the evening, and sometimes during the day. And those restaurant owners cope with having to find parking that may be somewhat remote from the restaurant. And, I think that we can certainly ask that his workers park a little more remotely, and to the extent he's concerned about dangers and bank transactions, well then you can open the gate once or twice during the day to maybe alleviate some of those concerns. But I just think that asking him to park remotely is really essentially what often you do with workers in any business, is you ask them to park farther away rather than the closest parking. So
Thank you, Commissioner. Maybe I'd like to do is read the response from Mr. Ambrose and his partner, Sam Chernin, and then open it up for a conversation on the board. Dear Rye-Town Park Commission, it's come to our attention that our manager's parking area has been brought up in conversation recently. That area, which our management team has called home for the last 14 years, is very important to us. We have managers who come in at different times throughout the day, and at times general parking can be problematic. So too at times during the day, our managers go out on errands, and it works well going back to the manager's parking as opposed to looking for parking. In the evening, there's a big safety issues. Our closing managers do bank night drops, and the direct line to managers' parking makes things safer rather than heading into the general parking lot, as you never know what evil can lurk in the darkness. We appreciate our parking accommodations and look forward to keeping the status quo. Yours truly, John Ambrose and Sam Chernin. Let me throw it up for questions, comments from the board, and I don't know, Mr. Nowotnik, if you want to weigh in, obviously you can as well. But I don't know if any comments, questions, thoughts from the board.
Joe, how many cars are we actually talking about?
I think it's 4 or 5, right? Is it 4?
4.
So we're not really talking about a large quantity of vehicles, right?
No.
But these are primarily just the manager's vehicles, or?
Yeah, there's one.
Sounds like it.
There's one van, a little panel van, and 3 cars. All right, so he's got his restaurant manager, his kitchen manager, what have you, and they do come in and out, periodically. It's been that way since even before we came in. It's always been there. So we never saw fit to change it. It's worked very well.
Yeah, I guess my thinking would be, I understand your concerns, and and I think we can certainly ask him to coordinate very well with park staff to make certain that safety concerns are uppermost in their mind as they open the inside gate. I guess I'm a bit reluctant to take away something that's been there for 14 years and hasn't, there hasn't been an incident, if you will, in the last 14 years. Secondly, I guess, and obviously there's the safety concerns that he's expressed for his employees at night, which I certainly appreciate. And then just in terms of, operating a restaurant within our park, if they've got to go out and do things in the day, they got to try and come back and look for parking, it makes it much less efficient. So I would be reluctant to change things after 14 years, given those concerns. I guess the other thing is, I think the other thing is, and Mayor French remembers this because we were afraid to eat at either of the restaurants for a couple of years there.
Well, I would test your food and you would test mine.
But I'm joking aside. But we with the parking situation, if you remember, well, of course you weren't here in the commission, but the parking situation, obviously had a direct impact on Mr. Ambrose and Mr. Chernon's business. And at the end of the day, he worked with us, and so we put a lot of pressure. We also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Nowotnik, he used some of our facilities. We withdrew some of the rights there. So we, if you will, have changed the mode of operations and business with Seaside Johnnies 2 or 3 years ago on a number of points that were, irksome, if you will, and some more fundamental. And so I guess, and he's worked with us through the last couple of years to try and accommodate things and make things work. So I'm a bit reluctant, given the fact it's only 4 cars. There's 2 safety concerns here on both sides, and then there's the problem just trying to run a business within a park. And the lease comes due. When does the lease come due?
2016.
Right. So
May 30th.
I'd like to encourage them and other operators to stay. And I think so I think as a good neighbor policy, unless there's a fundamental reason or there's been an incident or those kind of thing, I'd like to keep the status quo. To keep our side of the good neighbor policy, if you will.
All right, just May.
Please, yeah, of course.
I'm not saying that we don't give him parking spaces for these managers. I'm just saying that let's put them inside the parking lot rather than on the park side. So I understand the concern about coming into a park. The pressure for parking is probably greater than even downtown Portchester on a busy night. So I understand that. So I'm just saying let's put it on the park side so that when it is not crowded, there are no cars that are actually in the park. And the second thing is, and you know this, you never want to wait for an incident to make a change. So if there are safety concerns, and there are, when people are walking through that park on a day that's not crowded, they're not expecting cars to come through with that entrance. They're just not. And so that's my main concern on the safety thing. And I think his safety concern we can certainly address by allowing him access to do bank pickups and drop-offs in the evening hours when the park is less crowded.
Well, hold on. There's 2 ways to exit from that position, right?
Yes,
you can exit on the right, which is the exit.
There are 2 inside gates.
And so, how do they exit? Do they exit via the inside, the left one?
Well, they typically will. If you're looking from the parking booth.
The opposite way.
If you're looking from inside the park, they typically exit on the left.
Okay.
Because usually all there is there is a sawhorse.
That's easy. The exit is the exit.
Yep.
And anybody's coming through there needs to know that the car could come out of there at any time, right? Right?
No,
That's all
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
there are times
Let
that the
me
park
just
is
finish.
closed.
Well, there's two incidents. One when there's cars beyond the barrier, right?
Right.
And at that in that scenario, then there's obviously going to be cars coming through the exit.
Right. If I may, when we open the inside of the park, we have 3, 4, 5, or any number of parking attendants that guide the vehicles to their parking spaces. That particular gate that you're concerned about is staffed. There is a person there.
Yeah, but there's two scenarios here we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
One scenario where there's parking on the inside of the park, correct?
Right.
In that scenario, there's no change because there's cars exit.
I agree.
So the only time we're talking about when there's no cars inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that your concern is that somebody get caught unawares, and I guess the way I would provide a solution, they shouldn't be caught unawares because there is a practice where they use the exit. So what I would encourage Mr. Ambrose and his staff to do is use the right exit and ask them to make sure that they use the right exit when they go out to address the cause. So I think that increases the safety and accommodates his concerns for safety as well. So I think that's completely reasonable and good neighbor policy on both sides. So what his staff should use is simply the right exit
Mm-hmm.
as you come in from the inside of the park. What my proposal would be.
Just as a practical matter, does his staff replace the gate after they've come through?
They're supposed to, yes. The difficulty here is you cannot predict when you need to use the overflow inside the park. That's a hard call. Sometimes it happens even during the week. We wind up going into overflow mode. Whenever we break that barrier and go inside, we always have staff there to deal with the ebb and flow of traffic.
And
always.
that's fine. That's not the concern I'm raising. I'm really concerned about the days when there is no staff that's ensuring that those entrance and exits are safe, and that those barriers occasionally get left open, and then you have more than just the four cars. You have other people thinking, "Oh, look, it's open. I can go park in the park now," and it's unexpected because that's so.
Well, the policy I know is that those gates are never supposed to be open and unmanned. That's the policy, and we always have parking people there. As Fred mentioned, if it's not busy, they're out there picking up trash in the park, but the barriers are up and the gates are closed. I think the idea of using the proper exit is a fairly straightforward one. It's kind of a simple thing to just say, hey guys, don't take the shortcut and go out the in gate. Use the exit gate that's there.
Which I agree can be problematic.
And can we also we also ask them to make sure that they are very vigilant about closing the barriers behind them?
Absolutely.
Because I don't know. You can solicit the opinions of the rest of the board.
Mm-hmm.
May not have anybody else who agrees with me, but.
Well, I think, but I think that it's certainly not my. I think it's certainly fair-minded to ask that they go out the exit.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And secondly, I think it's also fair-minded that they make absolutely certain that they close the gate, because then not only do you have the worry going out, but you have the worry that people come inside the park when they're not supposed to. So I think those are two very fair-minded requests that do indeed improve the safety. I don't know if please.
Yeah, first of all, I don't recall us voting on moving the spaces inside, so if you want to check that, Bishop, I don't recall us.
We never did. This is pre-existing condition.
This is 14 years ago.
Yeah, this was.
We never did vote, you're right.
We inherited that.
But with the last meeting, if you want to look at the minutes, we did vote to move them back to the parking area.
Yeah, we did?
Yep.
Yeah, well,
I thought we were going to consider.
Well, I think
it's in the minutes.
Yeah.
But we just
we did, and we did absolutely.
Joe, I think your solution makes some sense, and I think maybe it's just as simple as having a conversation with Mr. Ambrose and say, close the gate. You guys can stay here, and we've got to keep an eye, but close the gate. And maybe that just can solve a lot of the issues. Besides safety problems.
With privilege comes responsibility.
Exactly. Sorry, Commissioner Sunday. Well, I think it's water under a bridge at this point. If we did, what happened was, I think last time, in all honesty, something was brought up in the moment, I remember I was racing to another meeting, but we did discuss it for certain, and we all agreed that they would move. I can't remember, and I don't know how it reflects in the minute, whether we actually voted formally and took a specific head count, but whether we did or not,
Okay.
I think the question's on the table for tonight in a more formal manner. And Commissioner Brett has been very understanding and accommodating, because I unilaterally asked that we take this up at this meeting. So Commissioner Brett's been very, very, very fair-minded about this. And so I think the notion's back on the table. Whether we did or didn't, I'll leave for leave for posterity to figure out.
So we did sit down with Mr. Ambrose, and we gave him designated parking for his customers, 40 spots. And so if we were going to now put him over in that area, that's 10% of his customer base. I mean, I just think we need to sit down with him and give him an option. I don't see many options. I mean, it's literally just on the other side of a wall that's a straight shot to the restaurant. If you're going to bring him on the other inside of the wall, I don't see any spots that work. If you're going to go back where we have handicap parking and his customer parking, I guess you could do that, but that's a walkthrough when you're carrying food and so forth.
Yep.
So I just think you start the season with a conversation with him and say, look, here are concerns, let's work on a solution. Not mid-season say, oh, by the way, now we want you to park somewhere else. We made great success. You, Sam, and I sitting down talking about their problems. I'm still not sure there's a problem here, because when I'm at the park, I see maintenance vans driving through there all the time. Not Seaside Johnnies managers, but guys doing maintenance. It's part of the park. So I think we define what the problem is, and then sit down with John and Sam and say, all right, here's what our concerns are, and then, come to agreement.
Yeah, I think Commissioner Brett is right about the fact that policy is generally where the customer should have the closest spot to the facility, not the workers of the facility. I mean, that's pretty much commonplace. I think maybe 1 or 2 spaces might be in order. I don't know if it makes a difference that this is 4 versus 2, but I'm actually more curious what is Playland doing about their parking requirements, because I'm sure they have the night drops at Tiki Bar and whatever other facilities he may be operating. What are they doing there in Playland as a comparison?
I could tell you that the spots closest, about as physically close as you can get to the Tiki Bar, those spots have been assigned. I think there's 75 in total have been assigned to the Tiki Bar.
Yeah.
Now, Playland doesn't monitor whether they're staff parking or whether they're customer parking.
Right.
But he does have 75, those first 75 spaces right along the roadway as you come in.
For the users, for the customers. The customers use that.
They're
right?
for Tiki Bar.
Right.
Yeah, whether
Do you have a manager sign that, for managers' use only?
No.
Because really, I mean, that's the public perception, is you don't want to take away prime spaces away from the customers, for managed use. But I don't know if there really is a problem. So
Well, just one thing, but I wouldn't want those spaces to be reserved for the public.
I would agree with that.
Because I think then the concern would be
I think it's hazardous.
that was different.
It says
I'm
off
sorry.
the grass.
That was just the manager's.
I on the rope, not the wall.
Exactly. When I first heard this, I thought they were parking. I thought they were parking in a different place. When I went and actually looked and saw it, my concern was far less. I thought they were somewhere on the grass towards the restaurant.
And they're along the wall.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So that's why.
Well, I support the good neighbor policy. He just went through Sandy, tremendous damage. He got the restaurant up and running. Let's be the good neighbor and sit down with him and talk about it directly.
Any other questions, comments?
I think that kind of makes sense. I don't like to change the procedure mid-year. I think we had an issue not too long ago. We were talking about a price change mid-year.
Right.
I don't like those kinds of changes. If we're going to do it, let's do it up front, beginning of the lease year. And I mean, he's been doing this for 14 years. So we want to correct.
Would you like? Should we do? So let's take a formal vote. Do you want to take a formal vote on
No,
this?
I mean,
You're good. You're happy.
It's on the agenda.
Okay.
I'm fine. That's discussed it.
All right, wonderful. Great. Okay, thanks very much, everybody, for that. So we'll stay
Use
the
the
test
right
a little
exit
bit.
and close the barriers.
He's got to exit in the right,
Right.
and he's got to make sure you close the barriers.
Make sure you
And have a
close the barriers.
conversation with him.
And we'll sit down exactly.
Okay.
Good. What's this? You want to take this next? Is
Well, there's only one other item that came up today. I think it's apropos to talk about it very briefly. John Ambrose has proposed that we... You don't want to do that?
No, please.
All right, we host a blood drive for the American Red Cross. We think it's a great idea. However, we're a little concerned that the only day that's available is a Saturday, August 3rd. I've discussed it with Fred Joffrey. We think we can pull this thing off. Frankly, we think it'll be great public relations for the park.
So what exactly
great
is
for
gonna
the
happen?
American Red Cross. They bring in a huge RV, that's specially outfitted with tables and everything else, and then they set up screening booths, and anybody who wants to donate can donate right there on site.
Perfect. And where's he going to set up? Do you have any idea?
The setup that we're talking about is we would maneuver the RV up by the flagpole area, just past the ladies' room, if you will, off on the right.
Okay.
We'd set it up there. It would be high visibility.
Great.
On Saturday weekend, you get thousands of people. Hopefully, it will work for the Red Cross in terms of being able to get blood donations. Everybody has a nice feel-good about it, and
Great.
so
Any questions, comments from the board?
So is Bill going to promote it, Bill Lawyer?
this just came up today.
Okay.
Ambrose sent the email in saying, "Hey guys, we're trying to work this out. Do you think this can work?"
So we'll have some marketing behind
And
it.
our feeling is
Great.
that it can, and we'll help promote it, and Ambrose will help promote it, and the Red Cross helps promote it.
Wonderful.
Just a question on parking. How do we know when someone's going to come, they want to donate blood, they're going to get free parking, obviously?
No.
No, we didn't say that, did we?
No. The Commissioner Salonicho, I know he...
Once they give
I
us...
started at 2-4 and ended up at 2.
They're taking advantage of the population that's there.
Well, for
That's my
example, would the
question.
commission
Who's gonna donate blood
agree
to get a
that anybody who donated blood and gave us their receipt,
That's why
that we could give
asking the
them a
question.
free pass? For,
Let's just
okay.
let's just, I mean...
Let's see.
Give them the
You plan
parking
on
spaces,
charging-
that's it.
No, let's just, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just need to know, are you planning on charging the people who want to donate blood to park?
No, yes.
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 I think so.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All we're doing is we're
We're
facilitating.
expecting to have 1,000 people in the park. And
We're facilitating the Red
Exactly.
Cross to be there. Now, to give you an example, a nice strapping young 22-year-old that's on the beach, all of a sudden, hey, how about donating blood? Why not?
How about a strapping...
No one's driving to donate blood, is what you're saying. You're
No,
just trying to find-
I don't think that's going to be the
No.
case. I think what it is they're taking advantage of the fact
$15
that
of your blood.
they've got thousands of people there.
Of course,
Yeah.
they're there.
Yeah.
And we can make
They're there.
announcements over the PA system and those kinds of things. It's worth a shot, and I think
Good.
everybody will feel good
Okay.
doing it.
Wonderful. Okay.
Okay.
Unless there's